Hello, my name is Megan Thornton, and today I'm going to talk for the video journal about the evidence-based practices from the IRIS module and my thoughts on the faces of autism from the IRIS module as well. So I do not have very much experience teaching students with autism. I got my credential in mild to moderate disabilities about 13 years ago, and then taught for 2 years as a resource teacher at a middle school, and then stayed home for the past 10 years. So my experience with working with students with autism is very limited. I'm not sure if I've mentioned this in this class, but I have a brother who's a grown-up in his 30s with Asperger's, so I have some close experience in that way, but not really with teaching. So some of the evidence-based practices that I'm familiar with are exercise, just because that's a general thing that I'm aware of in the world and how it can help me feel better, and I can see it help my children feel better when we're agitated or have extra energy to burn, and to help us focus, and also to be used as a reward. Modeling, I just know that, that's a general term, so I know what that word means. And then functional behavior assessments I know about from the previous classes that I've taken. So those are the three that I would say I'm most familiar with. Ones that are newer to me are all the other ones. There's some that I had never heard of before this class, or before this program, like pivotal response training, and a couple others that just I've never heard of. And then there's some like the PECS, the Picture Exchange Communication System, which I've heard of, but I've never worked with. So the ones I'd say I'm the most interested in learning more about are the ones that have to do with social skills. Like social skills training, I just think it's so important for quality of life for individuals with autism spectrum disorders to be able to relate to people and interact with them as positively and as functionally as possible. So that one, the social skills training, and then along those same lines, the peer-mediated instruction and intervention, just giving students with ASD as many opportunities as possible to interact positively with their peers. I think that's just a great tool to use whenever we can. And the social narratives, which I found really interesting to watch in the video with Mia and her mom, with how they were using it. That just seems like a great, really useful program. Again, I just think that it can be so challenging to feel so socially isolated, and so as many different ways as we can try to teach students with autism how to relate to other people, I think that's a really important, positive thing to do. In terms of the faces of autism, I really enjoyed watching those videos. I thought they were interesting and informative. A couple of things that really stuck with me were Tyler's mom. I thought it was really interesting the way she talked about how he can really run the show sometimes if you're not aware of how to work with him. And she almost seemed like, as a parent, wanting to have more patience and give it more time. And she would say, oh, maybe he's not ready for this. And watching him, her experience with ABA at first was like, oh, he's, that's my baby. This is too much. This is too hard. And then really seeing that he was capable of a lot more than what he was showing. And that ABA was a great way to access that and tune into what he's able to do and really help him grow and learn and not run the show, as she said. And she also pointed out it's really easy to underestimate kids with autism spectrum disorders because sometimes they can look like they really aren't capable of much. And if we just look at that and say, oh, okay, then it can be easy to not help them really reach their potential and be able to engage more actively in the world around them and learn. I enjoyed watching the video with Mia and her mom, as I mentioned before. And I really liked that Mia's mom said she wishes there were more opportunities for learning real life skills where, geometry can be important, but if you're not going to come up against, say, you're not going to go to a traditional college or university, then maybe things like geometry won't be as useful to you as, I think her example was, learning how to count your change when you go to the store and buy something. So really talking to parents about what skills they want their children to have, and focusing the teaching on things that will really help the student in real life. And finally, Michael's mom, I like how she pointed out all kids are different. I think this saying, she didn't mention it, but I think it's, if you've met one kid with autism, you've met one kid with autism. And, just really reminding us that there's just such a variation among humans, including individuals with autism. They're not all the same just because they're on this same spectrum. And that she really thought clear, precise, really literal instructions were so helpful. And I know that can be, as a teacher and as a parent, a really good thing to remind ourselves about, that, making sure that we're super clear and we're super literal when that's what the young people that we're working with need from us. So anyway, that's kind of what I thought. I thought the Iris module was great. I think Iris has a lot of great stuff to offer, and I especially enjoyed looking at the videos.